If you guys are looking for a place to get some reliable Ultimate Team coins, be sure to check the link in the description below to cointraders.co and use code LEGACY for 5% off of your purchase. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to some more NHL 19. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. We have more EVO stuff to talk about today. It's getting later in the year. A lot of EVOs start to go up a whole lot, and they can't keep going up forever. So it's about that time we go out there and we go over 5 players I think you should avoid buying if they're EVOs, or maybe even consider selling right now if you have the chance, because they have a very good chance of losing you a lot of coins. Maybe not in a couple weeks, but maybe in a month, maybe in 2 months. They don't have a lot of upside as far as price goes, if that's what you're looking for. Let's go ahead and get this started here. Starting off our list, a fellow player I was out there, I actually owned one, had one for a little bit there, was PK Subban, and he got injured and he hurt it. He's killing his chances right here with that injury, because the thing with PK Subban is you look at him, he's about down to 285k now. You're already hurting yourself. I think I sold mine at about 320. I was a little upset I did it at 320, but at the same time, you know, I understand he's injured, and this is what happens. He's 2 assists away from a milestone. He's 11 points away from a milestone. The problem is, we're almost at the end of November. If he doesn't come back tonight, if he doesn't come back Thursday, and doesn't get to assist, he's not going to get an upgrade in the month of November, which is absolutely killer when you consider you can only get a +2 every month. So you consider he'll probably get that +2 in December with that 2 assists. Then maybe he'll get his 11 points in January, but that'll make him an 89. January and 89 overall, you consider, you know, you're going to see the Kuznetsovs, you're going to see the Pasternaks. Those guys are going to be 91s, they're going to be 93s. I guess the best way to think of it is everybody's going to be a +3 overall, +4 overall point ahead of him. When you got a low overall at that point, people aren't going to be as interested. You're going to want the 89 Subban, or are you going to want the 91 Tavares or the 93 Taylor Hall? You know what I'm saying? That's the problem with PK Subban. He'll be losing flavor. Personally, I'm not a fan of him. One thing I will say, though, if you want to sell him, I probably still would wait for those 2 assists, because if he comes back in the next week or 2, he gets some 2 assists, I'd probably sell him once he gets them 2 assists. He might still go up at that point. But after that, I can only see it being downhill for PK Subban after those 2 assists. Next, we got Kyle Connor. Kyle Connor was a fun one to look at. I'll be honest, I was like, that low of an overall for that much. I was never very interested in him in the first place, but I knew who he was playing with. He's playing with great players, and that is why people were interested. It's like, man, you're playing with Scheifele, you're playing with Wheeler, playing with Line. Who is he? Is he still playing with Scheifele and Wheeler right now? You look at the guys he plays with, and he's bound to get an upgrade. He's going to get an upgrade this week. I don't remember if this is an 82 from this month or the month before. But if it's from last month, then it'll be an 84. Or if it's not, it'll be an 82. And that's going to be a ridiculously high price for an 82. Even for an 84. Because, again, we bring it up. He'll be an 86 in December, an 88 in January, and 90 in February. By then, you consider 240k is rough. And, again, you got to consider, who knows if he gets an upgrade. I think he's one of those guys, you see his price up there because of the hype behind him. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Kyle Connor. Some people might still like keeping him. I'm not going to knock him down completely. He could still make you some profit. There's a chance in there. Personally, I'm not a fan. Going over to the Devils, though, and I cannot see why anybody's buying this EVO, and that's Niku. I like Niku, but he is just dropping an egg on my fantasy team right now. And I love, people don't like it when I compare fantasy team to real life, but you know what? Fantasy team can be compared to Hut, because if you ain't putting up points in fantasy, you ain't putting them up in Hut, because you got to put up points to get those upgrades. And Hischier has just been very lackluster this year. I think he's one of those guys you looked at the start of the season. He's got all that hype because he was a high draft pick. Everybody's expecting him, you know, to progress from last year to this year, and he's slow right now. Regardless, he could turn it up second half of the year and do fantastic. But right now, he ain't in line for an upgrade. He ain't looking good for an upgrade in December. He's got to get one eventually. Even if you go into December, you're talking 82, 84. Again, we say 86. Are you going to pay for an 86 overall, and you're going to pay 200k for that 86 overall in February? Probably not. So you got to be careful with stuff like that. Speaking of guys that'll be an 86 overall in February, let's go over to, actually, we can't go to Buffalo. Oh, we can. Okay, he's on Buffalo now. Sick. He wasn't on at the start of the year. So I guess once he played long enough, they did update the card. And that is Rasmus Dalene. You look at him, again, about 180k. Not the same story as, well, not the same story as Niku, but kind of the same story as Niku, guys. Both high draft picks, got a lot of hope. The problem with Rasmus Dalene here is I think a lot of people expect him to get that gold card, quote-unquote, upgrade you see every year. But from what I've heard from people say from EA that they're not doing that this year. Now, they could change it, and people can cry and complain like they do, you know, a lot of other things. And they might put it in here and give us gold upgrades where you see Dalene get that gold card upgrade and all the other draft picks this year. And then they give him an 84, an 85 gold card. And then all of a sudden, he's worth it. But right now, it's not looking like that's going to happen. If it's not going to happen, an 80 overall defenseman, again, you look at the PK Subban kind of thing, like, it's a defenseman at the end of the day. Dalene's talented as can be, but that doesn't mean he's going to get upgrades because he does play defense. And we're seeing more and more this year, points are being way more than just defensive abilities are for first and second line team of the week. So Dalene, I'm just not liking his chances. Not at that much. Not at 200K. Last but not least, we're going down the defensive road here, and that's Thomas Subban. Thomas Subban is expensive for a couple reasons. One, because he's on absolute fire to start the season. Two, because he was in packs. When these guys are in packs, there's not as many release because you couldn't create them in sets. Therefore, there's not as many out there to buy, so the demand's obviously going to be higher than the supply. Then you're going to see this 300K player because there's just not as many out there. Granted, there are 5 on the market right now. You just couldn't create 550,000 of these like you could Taylor Hall because there's only so many that can be pulled in packs. Like I said, he started the season 29 points. He's going to cool off. I don't care who you are. Defensemen are going to cool off. Anybody's going to cool off. 29 points right now is well over a point per game. Carlson doesn't do that. Well, he does, but again, he cools off. That's going to happen. You're going to see that cool off effect. He could possibly go a month without an upgrade. Possibly go 2 months without an upgrade. 83 overall for 300K. Again, I bring up that PK Subban comparison. Subban's an 85 overall. Subban's an 83. He's already lower on the pecking order as far as overall is compared to Subban, and Subban's cheaper than him. You got to consider that. Not a big fan of Subban. Not at 300K. It's way too much for my blood. Again, though, it's an opinion video. If you guys don't agree, you don't have to agree. But personally, these are 5 guys I would avoid if they do have EVOs. Otherwise, though, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.